r/AskReddit by Reddit and chill. What is one fact you know that will make other people respond with, and why the FK do you know that? MLB umpires are required to wear black underwear in case their pants split during a game. Enrico Pelozzo didn't. Maybe that's why the rule exists. It's always one a-hole that ruins it for everyone else. If you're trying to destroy a body, a strong base will be much more successful than a strong acid. Acids are difficult to legally acquire due to them being ingredients in explosives. Caustic soda is much more useful and accessible, as it's an ingredient in soaps. When it's done, you'll have a liquid that you can then place in barrels and bury somewhere. Even the bones will be broken down to an extremely brittle calcium deposit, which you can easily crush and filter off. You can then dispose of the liquid as you wish. It makes great fertilizer. Alternatively, use pigs. They eat anything and will leave no traces. And once again, pig shit is great fertilizer. Edit. Christ, what a way to reach 100k karma. You outdone my comment. Welcome to ranked play. Didn't realize these comments had skill-based matchmaking. After Alois Alzheimer gave the first ever speech describing the symptoms of Alzheimer's disease, no one in the audience asked him any questions or made any follow-up comments, because they were all much more excited to hear the next guy on the list give a speech about compulsive masturbation. Who knew that masturbation could make you forget all about Alzheimer's? Oh, I don't need masturbation to forget. Since frogs have long tongues, they can't use it to push food down their throat like humans do. So when they have food in their mouths, they close their eyes and push the food down their throats with their eyeballs. They also vomit by throwing up their entire stomach, emptying it with their hands and then swallowing their stomach again. So they swallow their stomach with their eyes at that point? I just threw up. Open the guts of a body before disposing in water so they won't inflate and are able to sink all the way to the bottom. Redacted. What can I say? I like to research true crime. And as he was ditching her corpse in the lake, he opened the comments. In need of a break, he read what they'd written before he began. He looked at the body. He said, change of plan. Siblings, or parents and children, that were separated from one another at birth or a very young age are often extremely sexually attracted to one another if they meet later in life. The phenomenon is called genetic attraction. Didn't think it was weird to know this until I shared with my boyfriend and he was totally weirded out. Thanks, SVU. Cumbria Gov UK link. Well, Star Wars original trilogy makes sense now. And Back to the Future. They only kiss to make Han jealous. Mammals from house cats to elephants take about the same time to urinate. 21 seconds on average if I recall correctly. I seen an elephant pee at the zoo before. It was cold and the ground had a few inches on ice and the elephant pee melted through to the ground. Thank you for my first silver. I appreciate it. When I saw an elephant pee at the zoo, she turned around to make sure people had a good view. It was weird. It takes more than 6 standard concrete blocks to hold a human body underwater after death. Is that with or without cutting the gut open? I see you're already learning. FBI and MI5 in shambles trying to suppress the information from this thread. Erections that last more than 4 hours are considered bad because the buildup of deoxygenated blood causes the dong to be disfigured and later cause gangrene. It's called priapism, and it's also extremely painful. In extreme cases, the penis is numbed with a local anesthetic, and blood is removed from the penis with needles and syringes. Don't take ED pills if you don't need them. Edit. As numerous people have pointed out, yes, the name is derived from the Greek god Priapus, who was regularly depicted with a massive organ, and there are many causes of priapism. Bites from certain venomous bugs, including the Brazilian wandering spider. Side effects of other medications, including trazodone. Spinal cord injuries. Gut, STDs. Sickle cell disease. Cancers of the penis, etc. Also, if bloodletting with syringes is not successful, more extreme measures must be taken. These measures include the use of a scalpel, and are even more graphic in nature. I'm sure you can use your imagination. That would be the worst thing ever. You gotta rush into the hospital to get needles in your dong, but also have to show random people your erection, and they know you can't get hard on your own. Talk about traumatizing. If you're having to go to the hospital for priapism, there's a good chance you can get hard on your own. People take ED pills recreationally. Regarding the Museum of Mummies, Ferdinand I of Naples governed by oppression. He had zero compassion for his defeated enemies, and after falsely promising them amnesty, he had them murdered instead. After their murders, he would have them mummified and added to his museum of mummies dressed in their clothes. If he thought anyone was plotting against him, he'd simply take them on a casual tour of the museum, which was totally morbid, but effective. I too am hyped about Crusader Kings 3. Male bedbugs try to sexually penetrate everything they come into contact with, even people. Edit. Row. My first silver. Thank you. Bedbug awareness is incredibly important. Make sure you guys check yourselves. They are very sneaky. Edit 2. A gold award 2. Holy moly. Edit 3. What? Platinum. What? I'm stunned. To go along with this, female bedbugs don't have a sex organ, so the males have to literally stab them with their dongs. Traumatic insemination is the name of the game. Sounds like a Cannibal Corpse song. If you want to skin a human alive, you have to do it in a warm room, otherwise he will die of the cold because his skin doesn't isolate him anymore. Ahem. Excuse me. What the duck? Ahem. Excuse me. The correct answer isn't why the FK, do you know that? Won't they die when they lose about 1/3 of skin anyway? Or do I remember something wrong? The largest walnut grove in the world is located outside the small village of Arslanbob, in mountainous southern Kyrgyzstan. Local oral legend has it the grove was planted by a migrant wise man nicknamed Arslan the Wanderer. DNA analysis of the trees has confirmed they are not native to the region, and the local population came to the area from a related batch of seeds about 1000 years ago. Sometimes, when horses are bored, they slap their dong to their underside to masturbate. Same TBH. Edit. There. You slap horse dongs? You don't? The most babies born to one woman is 69 in the 1700s. Nice. Many species of sea cucumbers have evolved to have teeth in their anus to ward off potential inhabitants. Can they eat through their anus, or is it just for protection purposes? Most cruise ships are equipped with a morgue to account for any passengers who died during the voyage. I thought they yeet them into the ocean. Captain, what should we do with this body? Size I don't care, Johnson. Yeet the son of a beach off the water slide into the ocean. Very good, sir. I read somewhere that many old people are actually starting to use cruise ships as assisted living facilities when they can no longer get by on their own. But the tickets for a month of cruises are about the same as a month's stay in a facility. There is plenty to do on board to keep them active. Cooking and cleaning is taken care of, and the weather is usually beautiful. Vibrators were the 5th domestic electrical device invented. Edit. Saw it in a documentary called Original Sin Sex on Hotstar, if you wanna check it out. Because doctors were tired of masturbating women for them to relax from hysteria, if I recall correctly. This can't be real, dude. Edit. I stand corrected. Edit 2. I have been bombarded by comments quoting articles saying that this is a myth. I'm relieved knowing my great-grandma wasn't getting finger banged by the town's doctor and paying for it. Thanks, guys. This was back in the days when alcohol has one of the least fun things you would find in a doctor's bag. Cannabis tinctures, cocaine, heroin, laudanum, and all kinds of other shit. I think medical theory at the time focused on distraction and hoping the problem fixed itself. This is something my bio teacher taught me last year. Basically, male barnacles have the longest penis to body ratio, and the penis actually extends out of the barnacle and goes searching around for female barnacles to have sex with. Stop calling Danny DeVito a barnacle. Male giraffes will headbutt a female in the bladder until she urinates. Then it tastes the pee to help it determine whether or not the female is ovulating. Be right back. Gonna try that with my wife. Do you still have a wife? He is currently in coitus mode. Why is goose geese but moose is not meese? Well, I'm glad you asked. Goose has Germanic origins and thus follows the Germanic pluralization in the same manner as foot to feet, tooth to teeth, etc. However, the word moose was incorporated into the English language some 200 years later and has Native American origins. Yay. Look at all those duck-eyed meese. Edit. Whoa. This is my first comment that have that much attention. Thanks. Only about 1.4% of the uranium in the atom bomb dropped in Hiroshima actually fissioned, meaning that bomb was only about 2% as strong as it could have been. Was all of it supposed to fission, or is it just the nature of the way it's made that only a small part will actually fission? It is next to completely impossible to get all the material to fission, as when the fission first starts the resulting explosion scatters the nuclear material in all directions. It's just the nature of the design. The uranium blasted itself apart before much of it could fission. Just as they predicted, the Hiroshima bomb design was never tested before use because it was so simple they were extremely confident it would work. They did small-scale tests by assembling a critical mass of uranium and very quickly disassembling it. The human body can literally expel feces out of your mouth instead of your ass. Several terminal illnesses in late stages have fecal vomiting. It boggles my mind that you are not allowed to have a lethal dose of morphine at your own leisure if you find yourself in that horrible state late in life. I remember this poor young woman had terminal cancer. She uploaded a video to YouTube about being a proponent for death with dignity. One of her great fears was that she would die by choking on her own fecal matter. And horribly, she died in just that way. Horrific. Edit. Here is her video I just found on Dailymotion. Her name was Angelique Flowers. Dailymotion.com link. I used to know a nurse who had to deal with that once. The guy was constipated so badly that he was shitting out of his mouth, I guess. Anyway, she said it's the worst thing she's ever smelled. Way worse than just straight poop apparently. Instead of a penis, male sharks have two claspers. They're made of the same cartilage as their skeleton, and also attached to their pelvis. Edit. Thanks for the gold. I can't believe my highest rated comment is about shark dongs. So legs? Only a matter of time before they evolve into land sharks. This is the real cost of climate change, boys. Land sharks that walk on their penises. When the Pilgrims first landed in America, they found these weird dirt mounds in a field. So they dug them up and discovered they were Native American graves. Oops, they returned everything. But then came back later to take the cooking pots and utensils that had been buried with the corpses. They apparently packed really light on the way over and didn't bring basic household essentials, which would be really useful in, oh I don't know, starting a ducking colony. Boston is roughly on the same latitude as Barcelona. The Pilgrims thought they were getting a Mediterranean climate, not a freezing winter. Babies don't have kneecaps. Edit. This is for people whining in the comments that I'm wrong. Not after I'm done with them at least. Yo, can I get that baby boneless? I'm concerned. Most of the dolphin population is the result of rape. Guilty. r/hollow. Yeah, I read about that. To add to this, dolphins in the Amazon River like to engage in homosexual intercourses by penetrating each other's blowhole. The Nazis bled Soviet children dry to provide blood transfusions for injured troops. Wow, after scrolling this far down, this is the one that really got me ducked up. Ireland's rail gauge is slightly wider than the international standard, yet its tram system uses the international standard. Ah yes, a fellow rail enthusiast, please stop with the shitty herder rail people, it's not funny. Most birds don't have intermittent reproductive organs, like a penis or vagina, and they share their genes through a hole, called a cloaca, that leads to their inner organs. The act is called a cloacal kiss and is over super fast. Most duck species, however, do have intermittent organs. The penis is shaped like a corkscrew and can be 50% or more of the length of the duck in some species. This is because the vagina is an elaborate maze of twists and turns, creating an evolutionary arms race between the sexes. The longest duck dong award goes to the Argentine lake duck, though he is a mere 15 inches long. His dangling corkscrew is up to 16 inches erect. Now that's gotta produce some drag. Edit. Should be intermittent. Thanks you/M Faustus for pointing that out. Edit 2. People seem to struggle with the why females resist mating. Much like humans, female ducks like to choose the best male to reproduce with. They will make themselves available to the males they prefer, and this mechanism allows them to resist advances from the males they don't deem worthy. Thank you for that amazing info. I'll add duck dongs to the list of things that make me insecure of my penis size. Human shit has a distinct smell that's different from other commonly encountered poops. You ever smell pig shit? Pig shit smells very similar to human shit. I work on a farm and have developed an uncanny ability to identify different types of shit by smell. If only there was a way to use my powers for good. Don't buy rabbit already skinned and gutted. Could well be cat. They look really similar if it's already skinned. You need to see the kidneys to tell. They're installed in a different config. Second, don't make risky meat purchases from a Sunday market trailer in a shady part of town. You can definitely tell by the teeth. Pro tip, always get ones with the head still attached. Australian box jellyfish have 64 anuses. Finally, enough holes. The slitting of the front of the throat is much more improbable than most people realize, given a bone is actually blocking the spot that most see in movies, TV shows. If, in fact, a movie wanted to be more realistic, they would instead have the sides of the throat slit because of the main artery that sits in that spot. Got to try this out someday. Thanks for the tips. About 1 girl out of 100.000 will have the vaginal and anal tracts fused together, meaning that they can in fact get pregnant doing anal. Do women know when they have this condition, or is it not very obvious? Usually people can tell if it's bad enough because their vagina will smell bad, or it is sometimes predisposed to recurrent infection. It's called a rectovaginal fistula. It can be surgically corrected. You can hang yourself in 3 ways. Rope really short, suffocation, medium length rope, breakneck, really long rope, decapitation, yep. The British Empire in the 1800s had hangings down to a perfect system. They knew exactly how long to set the rope based off of size and weight of the condemned to achieve the perfect neck break every time. They were also incredibly efficient in the actual process of hanging someone. It took them very little time to do it. All these skills, lost to time. Male moths can vibrate their testicles at will to throw off bats. Edit. Oh wow, my first gold, thanks guys. Did not expect this comment to get me one, but here I am. The longest recorded piece of poop is 26 feet long. A typical ejaculation consists of 1 calorie. Edit. If you swallow the semen, it will give you 1 calorie. You do not burn 1 calorie. The longest recorded piece of poop is 26 feet long. And how many corics is that? Rubbing alcohol is a great way to get the smell of smeared poop out of skin. Jeffrey Dahmer tried to make sex zombies out of some of his victims by drilling holes in their heads while they were still alive and pouring acid into the holes. I was listening to a podcast yesterday that mentioned that his last victim escaped, but had this procedure done. And when he tried to tell police, he couldn't physically communicate that he had been abducted and tortured. Dahmer caught up with him and convinced the police that the boy was just tired and needed some rest. They agreed and let Dahmer take him back. Scary stuff. Edit. Couldn't. Not good. Edit. For those wondering, the podcast was Full Body Chills episode, an open letter to my best friend. The reference was made in passing. It wasn't specifically about Dahmer, but it was made by the same team that does Crime Junkie, so I have no reason to doubt its validity. If I recall correctly, the officers thought it was just a homosexual lovers quarrel and let Dahmer take the kid back to the apartment. I would imagine the cops then spent at least some of their shift cracking jokes about the situation while the kid was being tortured, raped, experimented upon by Dahmer. Terrifying stuff. Oh duck, can't imagine the feeling that you escaped and was taken back again. Did he survive? Butterflies taste with their hind feet. Imagine walking around NYC like that. Before kale became a popular health food, the largest consumer of kale was Pizza Hut. They bought it to ring the salad bar. If you are stranded on a desert island, with only the bodies of other people as a source of food, you will want to only eat the legs, arms, and butt, as they are the most easily prepared parts of the human body. All other parts are either too close to vital, bacteria infested organs, or are just unsafe to eat in general. For example, the brain, the legs, arms and butt can be easily cooked over a small fire to make it safe to eat, even though the actual caloric intake of human flesh is nutritionally less viable than most other animals. Edit. People keep asking why eating the brain and other parts might be terrible. Here is a link to a video about it. YouTube link. Edit 2. Oh. My first silver. Yay. Till eat the ass first. A corpse can have an erection. It is called angel lust or death erection. Die hard. It takes 2-3 days to cremate a body on a standard bonfire. Edit. So I've never had a comment get such an insane number of upvotes and replies before. Not even close. Wow. A lot of people are asking how I know this. So I figured I'd explain. I studied for a rather specific master's degree around psychological trauma. It was particularly pertinent to the army. So within our small class were a few officers from the army being sent to touch up their learning. One of them was an army doctor who had been with them for more than 30 years. Can't remember exactly how the conversation got to this point, but he made some quip about having to burn a body and it taking 2 or 3 days to burn on a bonfire. We asked him why he was burning a body, and his only response was we weren't allowed to bury it. We never could convince him to elaborate further. It turned out that one of his deployments was to Rwanda as part of Operation Gabriel immediately after the genocide. If I had to guess, it might have been something to do with that. When dealing with more than 1 million dead bodies, many were likely never identified or claimed by next of kin, and perhaps for some reason this one couldn't be buried with the others. Again, this is purely speculation, so take it with a pinch of salt. So you're telling me funeral pyres would have taken days to look after? Broccoli and cauliflower are man-made. It was carefully bred by Italian farmers more than 2,000 years ago, carefully breeding different types of wild cabbage to create it. Brassica, that wild cabbage, was bred into broccoli, cauliflower, kale, bok choy, Brussels sprouts, kohlrabi, collard greens, mustard, rapeseed, turnips, rutabaga. Pigs with a prolapsed anus are at risk of being eaten by other pigs. Same with chickens. They see red and they peck at it till the chicken dies and then usually eat it. Male echidnas have a 4-headed penis. Well duh, how else can knuckles fly? Costco has spent hundreds of millions developing factories just so they can continue to offer their hot dog and soda combo for $1.50 and their rotisserie chicken for $4.99. In 2006, a Coca-Cola employee tried to sell secrets to Pepsi. Pepsi told Coca-Cola about it. Pepsi went to the FBI about it. Pepsi doesn't need or want to copy Coke. Pepsi sells because it's not Coke. The stripper pole spins, so they don't rub the skin off of their hands and legs. There's static and rotating poles. Some tricks are done on a static pole, some on a rotating one. Many pole dancing competitions will have both set up on stage, so a routine can consist of both. The world's youngest mom was 5. Edit. She was impregnated at 4. It takes about 5-6 hours in a boiling lye bath to fully dissolve the body, less if the pot you're using has a pressure cooker attachment. All you'll be left with is bone shadows, little undissolved bits of calcium that can be crushed, and a pinkish grey slurry that can be neutralized with vinegar so it can be safely dumped. Edit. I learned about this from disposing of deer carcasses. After harvesting the usable meat, we take the offal and bones, pop the joints and chuck them in the pot, let it go outside for a few hours, then discreetly dispose of the slurry. Ducking, like and subscribe.